Welcome to the Workplace Wellbeing Essentials series. I'm Mari Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this expert interview where we explore topics that impact employee well-being. My guest today is Luke Seaward. I'm very excited to have Brian here as a guest on today's topic on stress and stress management. Luke Seaward is a renowned nationally and internationally as an expert in the field of stress management, mind, body, spirit, healing, and corporate health promotion. The wisdom of Luke Seaward, a TEDx speaker and author of 16 books, can be found quoted in PBS specials, college lectures, medical seminars, boardroom meetings, church sermons, keynote addresses, and graduation speeches all over the world. He's renowned for his work in speaking and teaching in a variety of settings, including universities and leading workshops. He has shared the insights of meditation with the staff of the White House, taught stress management techniques with various heads of state, and coached relaxation techniques to several Olympic athletes, Broadway actors, media personalities, and leaders of several multinational corporations. It's been said that he looks like James Taylor, dresses like Indiana Jones, and writes like Mark Twain. So Luke, welcome. Delighted to have you here today.
Hey, thanks, Mari. I just want to say thanks for inviting me to be part of your series, and I'm a big fan of your newsletter, and thanks for all the great work you do in getting the message out about wellness in a corporate setting.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have you here today to talk about this topic that I hear a lot about from my clients and from the employees that work in those work settings, and that is the topic of stress. So let's explore a little bit. What are some of the underlying causes of worksite stress today that you're seeing, and how do they differ from, say, 20 years ago?
Well, first of all, I got to tell you that, and you've noticed this, I'm sure a lot of people have, that everyone seems like they're on edge today. By and large, one reason why there's so much stress going on is that we're in times of tremendous change. And my impression is that by and large, people don't like change, especially change they can't control. But what's happened over the past 20 years, if that, is the invasion of technology into our lives. And so now we have multiple means to communicate through emails, Facebook, Snapchat, you name it. And it turns out that people are overwhelmed. The term I often use, and I've heard a lot, which I think is great, is called digital toxicity. So this on top of our workload responsibilities, this on top of financial concerns, because that's what's going on in the world today. It seems like we can't help acknowledge some headline about the global financial aspect of how that impacts you individually. The weather is a big factor, and we've heard about global warming, but it's actually here right now. And so storms here far and wide seem to be at our front doorstep too. So there's just a lot of things on the plate. And so 20 years ago, we may have thought we were stressed then, and people were stressed. But it turns out that added on are just layers upon layers of things. But the big thing we're seeing right now is the digital component that makes people feel as if they're anchored to an electronic leash.
So it's never ending. So it's something we just can't get away from in essence.
Yeah, it used to be, I heard this person say that when the mail came, you knew what time the postal mail came, like one time a day. But with emails, they come at every hour of the day, sometimes several times, or hundreds of times in the course of an hour. And then people have their alerts with their smartphones and their iPads about instant messaging and social media messaging, and it's funny because I don't own a cell phone. I'm a great holdout. I'm a dinosaur. I'll admit this, but I watched other people's behaviors at the airports where I'm traveling in various places, and I'll hear these pings, and little jingle that goes off with Apple when cell phone calls come in or whatever. And you hear one thing, and all 40 people in the area grab their smart device, hoping it's them. Right. And so there's a teaching quality to all of this, which is very disconcerting. In fact, it's not gone unnoticed that we now have a huge problem called screen addictions.
Right. So you've often said that well-being and health promotion in particular is more than just broccoli and aerobics, or now kale and CrossFit. So what do you see well-being as, and where does stress fit in to this perspective?
Yeah, great question. I was so greatly influenced by one of my mentors and role models back almost like 40 years ago now. Her name was Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and she was a speaker at a conference where I was also speaking. She was a keynote. And although she's famous for her work on death and dying, her keynote presentation was called Holistic Wellness. And she began her presentation with a circle and drew a line north, south, east, and west, and put in the components mind, body, spirit, emotions. And she was the first person who I heard so eloquently describe wellness as more than just physical. Up until this point, wellness was described as the opposite of illness. So wellness here, illness there, or the absence of disease. But she took a much bigger approach. And I think I was like 23 at the time I heard this. And it was very, I knew this intuitively, but it was nice to have someone of that stature describe this so eloquently. And what she said was that if you don't acknowledge the integration, balance, and harmony of mind, body, spirit, and emotions, you're going to end up with dysfunction. And she said the reason why the physical component is so easily acknowledged in the Western culture is that it's solid ground to stand on. You can measure heart rate, you can measure blood pressure, cholesterol, bone density, you can even measure the DNA right now. We got that down really well. That is safe ground to stand on. Mm-hmm. It's great for data collection. But how do you measure emotional well-being? How do you measure mental well-being? And she said, if you don't acknowledge the spiritual component, then you're doing basically a half-baked job.
So let's just talk a little bit. What are you seeing are some of the current issues in stress management these days? You mentioned the digital toxicity, and that we're all so many of us are living that. But what other issues are you seeing are current in the world of stress management?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm hearing from corporate America, that because the phone rings, they ask me to come speak, and they'll say, can you give a talk on work-life balance? Can you give a talk on resiliency? Can you give a talk on stress and disease, but not just heart disease? We've got people at our organization who have Lyme disease. They've got a number of autoimmune diseases, and when those people don't do exercise because they can't, they're being left out of the wellness equation at the worksite. And so we need to be more inclusive with people from all aspects, not just the ones who can walk down to the gym and hop on a bike for 30 minutes. But the buzzword right now, two buzzwords, work-life balance and resiliency. That's what I'm seeing. And of course, digital toxicity plays a big part of this. Also, Mario, what I'm seeing is this lack of sleep. Insomnia is huge in America, and it's huge in the worksite setting too. I came across some research, so this is kind of old hat now, but it's kind of fun to talk about. The problem with absenteeism. When people are sick, they don't come to work. But of course, and everyone hearing this should know this, but there's also a new concept, newer since absenteeism, called presenteeism, where they show up but they don't do anything because they're exhausted. And it used to be health promotion was really about performance, and you can't perform if you're not there mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, but only physically. There's an example of only doing a half-baked job with that. So those are some things there. I think one reason why we're seeing the work-life balance come up is because I can't tell you the number of people who tell me that they get emails and messages from their supervisors, their managers, their bosses at all hours of the night, not just the day, at the night, which means those people are sleeping. And we have a real lack of healthy boundaries. One of the big issues I talk about when I give presentations is healthy boundaries. We've got to have healthy boundaries with our eating habits, our exercise habits, our sleep habits, our technology habits, and of course, people too. So I know that's a lot, but that's the buzz right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same things. The sleep piece is huge, and it's interesting when we do assessments and gather data from our clients and their employees. We're seeing sleep being one of the big issues, which when we are sleep deprived or not getting enough sleep, our we just don't have the fortitude and the resilience to be able to deal with what's thrown at us every day. And there was just some data that was released last week from the Fitbit organization, since they've been collecting data with, a lot of the wearable devices, that just reinforces this idea that people are sleep deprived. At one of our clients, in the follow-up to asking the question of how much sleep you get, and the majority of the respondents to the survey were not getting the recommended 7 hours of sleep. We also asked, in relation to that question, about their energy level, and almost a majority, it wasn't quite 50% of the respondents said they didn't feel like they had enough energy to get through the day.
Wow.
And that's really scary.
Yeah. Hey, that's a slam against work productivity for sure.
Absolutely. Well, anything else you'd like to add in our conversation today? There's been some great conversation about stress and some of the causes of it and some of the approaches that we can take to dealing with it in our lives.
Yeah, first of all, thanks again. I can't understate the importance of meditation, or overstate, I should say. We all need to take time to unplug and to sit quietly. If nothing else, just focus on your breathing. We are living in a culture of distractions right now, from the news to social media to you name it. And that's not how we were designed to always be on. So we got to take time to basically become centered and focused and catch our breath. So that's a healthy boundary too, is just taking time to say, hey, this is my quiet time. Do not disturb. We are in times of great change. But like I said, I'm an optimist and I see great things on the horizon. I think it's time that we do all step up to the plate, engage what I call these muscles of the soul, and rise to our fullest potential. And whether that's at the worksite or at home or on the world stage in general, by doing this, we become great leaders. And we're in a time right now where we need to be a great leader. Everyone needs to lead by example. And so thanks for allowing me to share that as well.
Oh, well, thank you. This has been a delightful conversation as always, and I'm grateful for your willingness to be part of the Expert Series, and know that our audience will benefit from the tips that you've shared and some of your knowledge and experience. So thanks for being here, Luke.
Okay, thanks, Mari. My pleasure. See you around.